In 196 AC, Rome decided to make an alliance to counter the ARA influence. The alliance was named the Imperium, and included countries like Rome, the Kievan Rus, Ottomania, Persia, and others like Valstan and Industan. Meanwhile, a medium-sized island popped up in the Pacific Ocean, a few hundred miles west of modern-day Washington. Some historians say that the island resembles the modern-day US borders, but not really. Also, this island is more important than you think. You'll see why later. Rome decided to add more members to the Imperium like Mali and the Republic of Lagos. To counter this, the ARA added Islamico, Assyria, and Somalia to their ranks. The tensions were really rising. People were debating who could win a war, the ARA or the Imperium. Time will tell. In 230 AC, the Norse League launched an invasion on Rome's Norwegian colony, quickly taking Isidespoias, weakening Rome's ice supply. After the Germanic Empire found out about this, they started invading Rome too. They swiftly kicked Rome out of the British Isles. Rome, after discovering these acts against them, called on the Imperium to war, starting World War -15. Assyria invaded west, taking Damascus and Beirut. However, Ottomania invaded south into Assyria, taking parts of them over, while Persia invaded into Islamico. Rome, with their powerful army, took over Egypt and the Coptic kingdom in 3 days. They also took over Canaan rather swiftly. Plus, they took the captured cities from Assyria, causing Assyria to be divided between Rome, Ottomania, and Persia. Rome also invaded Somalia. Meanwhile, Persia took over Islamico's eastern coast. The war looked to be in Rome's favor, but then Rustan took over Valstan and Industan, giving Rus the manpower of those nations minus those who died in the invasion. With this manpower, Rus began invading the Kievan Rus. They swiftly took over Crimea, the east, and the north of the Kievan Rus. Polska invaded a bit of the west, and then the Kievan Rus fell to Rus. This allowed the Germanic Empire to take over modern-day France in 236 AC. Wallachia helped too, taking parts of the Balkans from Rome with the help of Rus. In 237 AC, Rome's allies abandoned Rome, mainly because they saw the war was lost. This allowed Rus to take over Constantinople and other parts of the Eastern Balkans. Also, Ottomania backstabbed Rome and took over some of Anatolia. Finally, in 250 AC, Rome surrendered, and a peace treaty was in the works. The first part of the peace treaty stated that the Byzantine Empire would come back, but they would lose a bit of land in the west that Wallachia would be given. It also stated that Wallachia would stop being a puppet state of the Germanic Empire. The peace treaty also stated that a new nation named Castile would be created. It would own the lands of Iberia and parts of modern-day Morocco. Atlantis would get the parts of Morocco that Castile didn't get. Rus would annex the Kievan Rus, and the ARA would be disbanded. Also, a new nation named France would be created in the former Gaulish lands, and Rome would only be allowed to own the Italian peninsula, plus Egypt would get some of the African lands, and Israel would be reunited. Now, Europe was at peace. For the most part. Rome had a rebellion that was possibly funded by one of the former ARA members, and it swiftly took over Rome. The rebels renamed Rome to Italy, and made the nation a monarchy rather than an empire. However, the Roman loyalists escaped by boat and made it to that island that was mentioned previously in this chapter, and they built the city of New Rome on the southern coast. In 267 AC, the uncolonized parts of Central Asia were divided up by the surrounding nations. In 300 AC, it was discovered that Ottomania had been secretly puppeting Islamico since World War XV. Despite other nations denouncing Ottomania for this, Ottomania didn't release Islamico.